time for the last 5 episodes of Over the Garden Wall. Lullaby in Frogland, The Ringing of the Bell, Babes in the Wood, Into the Unknown, and The Unknown. Once again, if you haven't seen the show, spoiler warning, and if you haven't seen the first part of this review, it's linked in the description. Anyways, let's begin. The 6th episode begins with the trio on a ferry full of anthropomorphic frogs. In fact, Greg's frog seems to be standing up a bit more.
What a nice way to spend our last day, going to Adelaide's house. Our journey is finally over. Pretty soon, I'll be back home.
With this 5 episodes left, it's not almost over. Anyways, Beatrice starts sounding a little hesitant on going to Adelaide. Wood and Greg try to cheer her up. Then 2 security frogs show up to try to kick them off of the boat since they ain't paid because of Greg throwing the money into Quincy's fountain. Hell, even Wood addresses this and tries to throw his little brother under the bus.
You take him, not me!
They run away in a scene that I'm tempted to put the Betty Hill music over, but that's way too obvious of a joke. They hide in a closet and come out just like this, with Greg disguised as a drum, which somehow fools the security frogs and they end up on stage with the band, and Wood somehow manages to make this happen.
I have nothing. I mean, I don't know how coordinated anthropomorphic frogs normally are, but I think even Slippy Toad will laugh at how much you suck, so... Rip in peace, Presume Playing Frog.
Anyways, the frogs start going nuts, and Wood starts playing the drop Presume, getting the song back on track. Then Greg's frog starts singing. Okay, could he talk this whole time? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised considering Fred, but why didn't he before, and why not afterwards? Yeah, after this, the only time when Greg's frog speaks again is briefly in the epilogue. Anyways, the ferry comes to a stop and the frogs start hibernating in the mud and Greg's frog is given a recording contract. Anyways, they are around the fire where Wood tells Beatrice what happened before they got lost and Beatrice tries to convince Wood that maybe it's better for them to not go home. Then even later, while they are asleep, Beatrice flies off, but Wood wakes up just in time to see this. He and Greg chase after her, and Greg leaves his frog behind with his recording contract and his socks. Beatrice ends up at the home of Adelaide, who is voiced by John Cleese, who also voiced Quincy in the previous episode, so I forgot to mention that. It turns out that they had a deal that if Beatrice brought her a child to be her servant, she would turn Beatrice and her family back to normal with some magical scissors. Though since Beatrice ended up becoming friends with Wood and Greg, she tries to offer herself as the servant. This is where Wood and Greg come in and Adelaide captures them and says on how she's going to make them into mindless slaves. Which of course makes Beatrice look bad to them since she isn't able to give them context. So, you know, they did the whole, "it's not what it looks like" cliche that everyone hates. Beatrice opens a window since Adelaide briefly mentioned how she hates the night air, and it makes her evaporate.
Okay, I would like to point out that she was killed with the one element that I'm pretty sure was not used to kill actual witches.
Due to the evaporation, Wood gets a hold of the scissors and escapes with Greg, leaving Beatrice behind. Then they find Greg's frog, who, without any explanation, decided to not keep his record deal and his socks. On to episode 7. It begins with Wood and Greg walking in the rain when a fallen tree blocks their path. Turns out that the tree was cut down by the woodsman who tries to warn them about the beast, but since Wood still thinks that the woodsman is the beast, he kicks the lantern and runs. Now, away from the woodsman, Wood and Greg take shelter in a house that seems abandoned, but they notice a basket full of turtles. They then meet a girl named Lorna who warns them about someone named Auntie Whispers and tells them to hide. They hide in the basket and we see Auntie Whispers.
Lorna, my sweet child. Has anyone come here today?
Nay, Auntie, not a soul.
Then no one shall be devoured alive tonight.
Nay, I pray not.
Now, if you can't tell, since I couldn't at first, that is Tim Curry providing the voice of Auntie Whispers. Now, I don't know if this is the performance they asked for, if he just didn't care and just wanted a paycheck, or if he's actually trying his best but can't since he did suffer from a stroke about a year before the show aired. Though whatever it is, he just sounds bored and they pretty much managed the impossible of having Tim Curry put in the weakest performance in something. I mean, just listen to the delivery of this line.
No!
Now, let's just assume that this is the performance that Cartoon Network specifically asked him to do. So then what's the point of casting Tim fucking Curry if you're gonna make him monotone? That's like casting Ben Stein as the Joker or Gilbert Gottfried as Darth Vader. Just, why would you do that? Okay, admittedly that second one sounds hilarious, but still.
I mean, with the other celebrity voices like Elijah Wood as Woods or Christopher Lloyd as the Woodsman, the actors fit the roles and the voices, and I can't picture anyone else in the role. Here, I feel that anyone else could have voiced Auntie Whispers and it'd be about the same. Anyways, they see that Auntie Whispers can control Lorna with a bell, and then she goes to bed. Wood and Greg come out of hiding, and Wood offers to help her finish with her chores and to help her escape. Then they give the shippers plenty of fuel.
I mean, more so when I do this. Poked fun at shippers, check. Found an excuse to use high school love from Tekken Tag Tournament 2, check. Okay, now I just need an excuse to reference wrestling and I can count this video as a success.
Greg ends up waking up Auntie Whispers, and she chases him down the stairs and reaches for her bell, but she can't find it. Wood, Greg, and Lorna run into this room, and this happens. They run out, and it turns out that Greg's frog swallowed the bell. Wood uses this to command Lorna to turn back to normal and stay normal, then a spirit leaves her body and disappears. Lorna wakes up, tells Auntie Whispers what happened, and decides to stay with her. Auntie Whispers warns Greg about her evil sister Adelaide, and they neglect to tell her that she's kinda dead. They then move on, and Wood is starting to lose hope on finding their way home. We then get another scene with Woodsman and the Beast.
Yes, yes, all hope will soon be lost. We're lucky the boy had the pluck to best you. Your play could have cost us both. Don't you care about keeping the lantern lit? Don't you care about your daughter's soul?
One cannot trade the souls of children as if they were tokens. There has to be another way.
No, there is only me. There is only my way. There is only the forest, and there is only surrender.
The next episode begins with Wood and Greg floating in an outhouse or something, and they hit land. Wood says that he gives up, and Greg tries to cheer him up.
Greg, you need to stop acting ridiculous all the time.
Huh?
Look, do you even know why we got lost in the first place? It's because you were goofing around, getting into trouble like you always do.
Really? It was all my fault?
Yeah, so it's not my job to get us home, okay? I'm done.
The two of them go to sleep, and we get a dream scene for Greg that, while it is reminiscent of old 1940s cartoons, it's pretty uninteresting. It also has moments that for some random reason that I can't tell, the screen is just a circle. So let's just skip to when this woman shows up in Greg's dream and says that she can grant him one wish. Greg tries to wish for him and Wood to get home, but she apparently can't bring Wood home since he lost all hope, so Greg whispers something in her ear. Now in the waking world, Greg tells the sleeping Wood that he has to go and walks to the Beast. Wood then wakes up realizing that Greg is gone and rushes out trying to find him, and he falls through a frozen lake but is quickly saved by Beatrice and a fishing fish. Wood then passes out. Episode 9 begins with Wood sitting on his bed. Yeah, the 9th episode is a prequel to the events of the rest of the series, and it reveals something that my first time watching honestly surprised me. You see, from the other episodes, I got this late 1700s colonial America vibe from it, but it turns out it takes place in... Actually, the year isn't stated.
Though I did do some research to try to figure this out.
In this episode, we get a plot point that Woods made a mixtape for his crush Sarah. Now, cassettes were invented in 1962, but the popularity dropped in the 90s due to the inventions of CDs. And most record companies stopped production of cassettes by 2001, though apparently blank cassettes were still sold up to 2012. Though, I do feel that someone making a mixtape for anyone in the 2000s is weird and actually pretty unrealistic. Then I noticed that these kids used the word whatever, so I looked up when that phrase became a widespread slang and found that the slang came in about 1965, but became popular around 1995. So with this data, I concluded that it has to take place somewhere in between 1965 and 2000. Though my best guess would be probably the late 90s. Oh, it also takes place on Halloween, so yeah. Wood goes to a football game trying to get the nerve to give the tape to Sarah, then Greg shows up.
Thank you, old lady Daniels.
Goodbye, Gregory. And please don't call me old lady.
Yes, sir, young man.
Old Lady Daniels? Huh. For some reason, I really like her last name.
Greg talks to Wood and takes the tape to give it to Sarah. Wood tries to stop him, but they are stopped by these three and they get the tape. They tell Wood that someone named Jason Thunderburger is going to ask Sarah out, and he freaks out and leaves, only to realize that they still have the tape. He rushes back only to find out that they put the tape in Sarah's jacket. So he and Greg follow her to a party where Wood has a slightly awkward conversation with her.
Oh, Wirt, you're here.
Well, I
was just asking if you were here.
Oh, wow.
Oh, hey, we're gonna go to the graveyard.
Oh, are you gonna do something there?
Nah, we're just gonna hang out and drink age-appropriate drinks.
Like juice?
Yeah, and whatever. Age-appropriate stuff that's not illegal. Hey, you should come.
She leaves with some others to hang out at a cemetery. Wood and Greg follow them there, and they come up with a plan. Greg would distract them while Wood sneaks in to grab the tape. It doesn't go well. Then a cop shows up and everyone runs. The brothers climb over the cemetery wall. They land and Greg finds a frog. They hear a train and get out of the way, which makes them roll down a hill and into a lake. We cut to Woods waking up in a tree full of bluebirds. It turns out that they are Beatrice's family and Greg's frog is also there. So Wood grabs him and heads out to find Greg.
At least wait until the storm dies down a bit. You'll be no good to your brother dead.
I was never any good to him alive, either. Thank you. Thank you so much.
If you see Beatrice again, give her a hug for us.
Yeah.
On to the final episode. It begins with Beatrice flying and she sees Greg with the beast but is blown away. She gets blown so far that Woods finds her. He picks her up and she points him in the direction that she saw Greg. We cut to the woodsman who is desperately trying to find oil to keep the lantern lit, where he hears singing and follows it to find the beast.
Woodsman, I knew you would come. I have something for you.
What have you done?
Why, I've given you another Edelwood.
No!
He will burn nicely in the lantern.
No, I won't do this.
You've been grinding up lost souls for years.
I didn't know. I didn't know this is where the Edelwood trees came from.
And would it have mattered? Would you have just let your daughter's spirit burn out forever? Feed the lantern.
No.
I suppose after all these years, you just don't care for her anymore.
Hold your tongue or I'll remove it from your mouth. Do not speak of my daughter. She would not wish this. Let's get you free.
The beast tries to grab the lantern and the woodsman tries to fight off the beast. Wood and Beatrice sees the lantern's light and go to it to find Greg.
Greg! Greg! Are you...
Word.
Oh, Greg.
Word. I did it. I beat the beast.
Oh, geez, the leaves are even growing inside of him.
No, I was just eating leaves. I'm sorry, Wirt.
No, Greg. It's my fault we ended up here. Everything's been my fault. I should have been more...
No, I mean, my rock facts rock.
What?
What?
I stole it, Wirt. I stole it from Mrs. Daniels' garden. I'm a stealer, and that's a rock fact.
What? No, Greg, that doesn't matter.
It does matter. You have to return it for me. okay?
No, you can give it to her yourself. Come on. We gotta get Jason Funderburker home, right?
Jason Funderburker. The perfect frog name.
Greg? Greg?
Let's get him out of this. Come on.
Yeah. Come on!
It's gonna be fine, Wirt.
The Beast then shows up again, seemingly defeating the Woodsman, and he makes the same offer that he made to the Woodsman. If Wood can keep the lantern lit, then the Beast can put Greg's soul into the lantern. Wood is about to agree, but something dawns on him.
Wait, that's dumb.
What?
That's dumb. I'm not just gonna wander around in the woods for the rest of my life.
I'm trying to help you.
You're not trying to help me. You just have some weird obsession with keeping this lantern lit. It's almost like your soul is in this lantern.
Are you ready to see true darkness?
Are you? Are you?
Don't!
Wood gives the lantern back to the Woodsman and uses his axe to cut Greg free. Wood then shows Beatrice that he took Adelaide's scissors.
What?
The scissors. That'll make your family human again.
You had them all along?
I used them to escape Adelaide, and then yeah, I was sort of mad at you.
Oh, you wonderful mistake of nature.
Then the Woodsman, now knowing that his daughter's soul was never in the lantern, blows it out, killing the Beast.
Goodbye, Beatrice.
Goodbye, Wirt.
We then fade in where Wood comes to in the lake and pulls himself, Greg, and the now named frog out, only to pass back out. They are quickly found and rushed to the hospital where they come to. Wood talks to Sarah about the tape and they decide to listen to it together later. We then get a bunch of epilogues, though the two most important ones are the Woodsman being reunited with his daughter and Beatrice and her family being human again.
And with that, we wrap up our look at Over the Garden Wall.
This show. If I had to describe this show in one word, it would be autumn. Everything from the colors to the background to the music just screams fall to me, which is one of the many reasons why I love this show. I mean, yeah, I do feel like that if they wanted to, they could have cut some scenes, if not an episode or two, and edited down to an 8-episode miniseries or even an hour-and-a-half long movie. But I still appreciate those parts despite them being less important. Pretty much, it feels like it's as long as it needs to be. Now on to the characters. Now, I may have called Greg an idiot, and I still stand by that, but I don't dislike him at all. I mean, since he's a kid, I can excuse most of the things he did, aside from the two things I pointed out last time that went against common sense.
I've got no sense.
Shut up, Greg. What to say about what? I mean, I don't dislike him at all, and, well, I wouldn't call him bland, but he is most interesting reacting to the world, so I guess his role is just to be the straight man in all this. Which is perfectly fine, but it just leaves me with a problem if I don't know how to describe him. Now on to Beatrice. Beatrice is my favorite character in the show. I mean, I just really like her snarkiness and her interactions with Wirt. The two just play off each other really well, thus resulting in a lot of the show's funniest lines. And finally, I did find the dynamic between the Woodsman and the Beast very interesting, though part of me wishes we knew a little bit more about the Beast. Though if I had to complain about one thing about the show, the ending is too vague to me. I mean, it's pretty unclear if the events in the unknown happened or not. I mean, it kinda seems like it was a dream or something, but in the hospital we see that Greg's frog still has Auntie Whisper's bell in its stomach.
Now, there are theories that the events take place in purgatory, and while I feel that most fan theories are dumb, especially if they involve the words death, coma, or drugs, but this one actually makes sense.
I mean, Wood and Greg were more or less drowning in the lake before they ended up in the unknown. Plus, in episode 9, we do see a tombstone with Quincy Epcott's name on it. Hell, people have connected Over the Garden Wall to Dante's Inferno. Since, if this theory is true, they both involve a journey through the afterlife, and they both involve the main characters being guided by someone named Beatrice.
So yeah, the show is potentially a kid-friendly version of Dante's Inferno.
Though it doesn't matter if this theory is true or not. Even if it does or doesn't take inspiration from something else, it still stands on its own and doesn't feel like a ripoff in any way. I mean, I for one believe that most stories and characters were inspired from something. It's just up to how creative the writer is to make it its own thing.
Come, wayward souls who wander through the darkness. There is a light for the lost and the meek. Sorrow and fear are easily forgotten.
Here, eat more dirt.
Thanks.